the Gourmeti Fund for inviting me to do this talk. And George came up with this nice title, Echoes from the Wild, The Photographer's Journey to Inspire Conservation. Very nice one, I think. And let's see. I thought I'd first introduce myself a little. It will be a bit of repetition of what George already mentioned. But I'm from Sweden, and I study ecology and evolution at the University of Umeå. I thought I would continue in the academic world and do a PhD or something, but my life took a different direction. After my studies, I decided to go and see the world a bit on a bicycle. So my first trip was from the North Cape of Norway to Cape Town in South Africa, and it took me 2 years, and it was about 32,000 kilometers. And I thought that was quite interesting and fun. So I did another one in South America for a year and a half, another 15,000 kilometers. And these trips were quite important for me as a photographer, since I took a lot of photos to document the trips, and I developed quite a lot as a photographer during this trip, and I'm pretty much a self-taught photographer. And I have those cycling trips. I can say that those were pretty much the reason I later got the job at the Serengeti Lion Project, where I started 2010 and worked for 5 years. And that's also where I got to know George Lohai, who was the one who trained me to do this job. So thank you again, George. And this job also led to the job I have now. So now I work for the Frankfurt Zoological Society. From now on, I will call it FZS. So I've been there now for about 10 years. And like George also already mentioned, we work on 4 continents in 15 or 16 countries now, and we have about 30 project areas that we work in. And only in Tanzania we were in the Serengeti ecosystem, but also the Mahale Katavi ecosystem with the corridors in between, and also in Nyerere National Park. Other countries in Africa that we're in is Ethiopia, the DRC, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. But we're also in South America in quite a few countries, and in Southeast Asia, and in Central Asia, and in Europe, including Germany. And the photos I take, it's basically used for all types of communication works for FZS. So online, on the website, in social media, we share photos with the media, the news, etc. And they're used in talks, presentations, and for fundraising, and for the reports that we write. And we also have a members magazine, so you can become a member in the FZS and support FZS. And then you also get a magazine that comes out every 3 times a year. This magazine is called The Gorilla, but it's only in German. It's for me quite an incredible job. I get to travel to all of these areas and to document them photographically. And some of the project areas we have are very remote and really quite amazing. The Serengeti ecosystem is one of them. The one in the image here is Chiribiquete in Colombia, in South America. And this is a huge national park. It's about 3 times the size of Serengeti. 3 times the size of Serengeti, and it's so far it's not even open to public. So basically, there's no tourism at all here, and so it was a huge privilege to get to this place. There are actually people living in here, still uncontacted. So in other words, people who doesn't know about the rest of the world, basically. They never seen a telephone or a car or a city even. They still live in the Stone Age, more or less. And this national park is there to partly to protect them. I can hear some. Was there a question or?
Let me just mute him. Can you please mute yourself? I don't know who that person is.
Okay. Yes, this is another image from that place. So it's basically a sinkhole where a large part of the mountain basically collapsed into itself, and it's now like a little isolated rainforest in this hole. Quite an amazing place. Another very remote area that I got to is Lomami National Park, which is at the heart of Congo, DRC. And only to get to this place required 2 days going on dirt tracks and even on hiking trails through the rainforest for 2 days. And then once kind of arriving to the edge of it, there was a 37-kilometer walk through the rainforest to come into this national park. So extremely remote, and for a biologist, an amazing place and still quite unexplored. Here you have the Okapi, endemic to Congo, the Congo peafowl, also endemic to Congo, and the bonobo, also endemic to Congo. And we actually, I can't show you this photo yet, but I have photos of a new species of monkey, a new type of colobus monkey that we're still working on the publication of the species description. So I can't show you the photo yet, but in time you will probably see the news. I also got to malaria twice during this trip and had to walk 15 kilometers with malaria and almost no energy to get out of the park in the end. And a lot of our project areas are extremely remote, like the one in Congo, but most of actually the areas in South America are very remote, and it takes days on rivers, like often up to 5 days to travel into the area on rivers. There's no roads in most of the parks we work in South America. So the means of getting in there is by boat, and often like this, you have to push the boat across shallows or across logs, or even use the chainsaw to clear an opening to continue on the river. And this is one example of a place we reached after 5 days of travel on the river. And there's a little ranger station down there. This is in Alto Purus in the Amazon in Peru. And what you see ahead of you there is 50,000 square kilometers of untouched land. Also here we have people, uncontacted people who still has no contact whatsoever with the civilization. And looking at this image, it also makes me a little bit nervous, because when I was there, I was really quite nervous, because as it would be fascinating to see the people living there, it would also be quite dangerous. They are known to be quite defensive, and it has happened that they shoot people with bows and arrows. That's the type of weapon they have, bow and arrow. Basically no clothes, and just being there was quite a nervous experience, and I'm still nervous when I look at the image. And actually about 2 weeks after I was there, there's a community that lives not too far from here. They were actually attacked and some people were shot. So it was a real threat. And I believe the reason why they are now acting a bit aggressive like this is that some illegal forestry companies are coming into the area and starting to cut down their forests. And there's probably been some violent encounters where I'm guessing these foresters have been shooting and maybe killing these people. So I can also somehow understand that they are very scared of us and defensive. This is another people that lives in the Amazon in Peru. They have been contacted, but most of them still haven't seen our part of the world, so to speak. No one has seen or very few of them have seen a car or a city or even a town. So they live very simply. They hunt with bow and arrow, and they live in huts in the rainforest. And this is in a national park called Manu, which is a fantastic national park. It's the most biodiverse place on Earth. You have more than 1,000 bird species only in this national park. And there's 3 zones in this national park. So the first zone is a touristic zone, which is at the edge of the national park, where tourists are allowed in to see some of the amazing wildlife that's there, including jaguars and primates and fantastic birds. And then in the next zone, it's a research zone where only researchers are allowed in. And then it's the third zone that's there to protect these people who live there. And it's really difficult to get permission to go in there, but I managed to, or I got it because I work for FZS, and we have a project there to work with these people to help them live more sustainably. There's another image of these Machigenga people that they're called, and this is during a fishing day. So basically, it's a famous type of fishing where they use a plant called barbasco. The plant is the same genus as actually as the candelabra tree that you have in Tanzania, Euphorbia. And it's highly toxic, and they crush the roots of this plant and mix it into the water, and basically all the fish for several hundred meters downstream the river basically get paralyzed or die. And then they go and just pick all this fish that's floating at the surface. And a very efficient way of fishing, but also in the long run, not very sustainable, because it's literally killing everything in the river in the area. I want to talk a bit about the importance of photos and why I have this job and what type of photos I do capture when I go to a project. So this photo is from Sumatra in a project area we have there. I tried to capture the beauty of the areas, but also the wildlife and the staff, our staff, and the work that they do, and people living in the communities in or around the national parks, and also the threats to the area. And I will go more into detail of these things soon. But the first point, beauty, is quite an important part, because if you show the beauty of a place, people are more likely to find it beautiful, and if you see something beautiful, you're also more likely to want to protect it. So it's show people beauty, make them aware it exists, and make them like it, and hopefully make them want to protect it for the future. And this is a Sumatran orangutan that's in that forest I just showed you. And I also try to take photos of as much wildlife and plants as possible in these areas. And of course, these iconic species like this orangutan is important to document, but also the less famous animals and the small animals, including the insects and the plants, are important part for documentation to document what's there, but also again, especially these iconic animals people tend to like, and then also that will lead to a higher chance that they will want to help protecting these areas. This Sumatran orangutan is the second largest great ape in the world. Only the gorilla is bigger. This one's a male can weigh up to 90 kilos. One of the things we do on Sumatra is we basically take care of orphaned orangutans that has been confiscated for a reason or another. Like there's a lot of deforestation on Sumatra, and the parents get killed because of deforestation on other reason, or people just keep the babies as pets until they get too big, and we take care of these and basically train them to be able to return into the wild again. But many of these, when we start taking care of them, they have never seen a forest, and they might not even know how to climb, even though they should spend the whole life in the trees. They don't know how to find food or water. They don't know that it's dangerous to stay on the ground because there is tigers there. So there are trainers in this jungle school for orangutans who teach them all these things, and they also get to spend time with a bit older orangutans that has more experience. So every day we take them out in the forest and they get to practice climbing and finding food and water, etc. And to document this, I climbed a tree. And this little jungle school student first was a bit insecure because he had probably never seen a human up in a tree before. But after a while, he got more curious and approached me. And for me, this was a wonderful experience because he started interacting with me and playing with me and dangling off my arm high above the ground. And it was difficult to take photos of it because he was playing with me, but it was a fantastic personal experience for me. I also tried to document the work that our staff is doing. Here's a man also in Sumatra who is tracking elephants. There's the Asian elephant is living on Sumatra, which is a little bit smaller than the African one, but still a big animal. And the work of FZS is very science-based. So here's also an image that shows that we are collecting data and we are basing our conservation efforts on data, real data and facts and science. Here's an image of us working in North Luangwa in Zambia, not too far from Tanzania. And I don't know if you see, but there's two little gray animals down there. There's two black rhinos. And we are darting them from a helicopter to put a radio transmitter in their horn. So basically you drill a hole into their horn and put a radio transmitter in there and then close it up again. And in this way we can protect the rhinos from poaching and also keep track of where they're moving and following them and collecting scientific data. And this is the only place in Zambia where we have the black rhino, and they were introduced there in 2003 by our project. And so far, we've been very successful, and none of the rhinos have been poached. This image may look, or at least the setting might look quite familiar to many of you. This is a man collecting snares in western parts of the Serengeti ecosystem. And yeah, it's again important to show that there's people on the ground that's doing very important work to protect the landscapes and the wildlife in it. Here's an image from Kazakhstan. This is a Przewalski horse, the last wild horse in the world that was actually went extinct in the wild, completely extinct. There was only a few individuals left in zoos around the world, and they started a breeding program. And now we are returning them to the wild. So this was a very big moment in conservations, bringing back the first wild horses to the huge steppes of Kazakhstan. And it was also a very big undertaking. We brought these horses from the zoo in Prague. So bringing them included going from the breeding center to the military airport in Prague with a police escort, and then flying with a military transport plane for 18 hours. This is inside the plane, and each box contains a horse. And for the sake of the horses, we wanted to keep it as cool as possible in the plane. So the air conditioning was on full blast, and I don't see, you see that tube in the ceiling of the plane, that's kind of the cooling system, and it was even kept on so cold there was little snowflakes coming out of the system actually, so we had a little bit of snowing inside the plane. And we actually had to reopen a airport in Kazakhstan that hasn't been open since the fall of the Soviet Union. And a couple of weeks before the horses were supposed to come, a big flood actually destroyed the whole area where they're supposed to be released, including all the fences. So we had to really hurry to build these fences before the horses arrived. So it was a huge project with a lot of problems, but also we managed, and quite happy to be a part of this. In conservation, as many of you probably know, it's very important to work with the locals living in and around your protected areas, and there's many ways you can do that. But if you tell people not to collect firewood or do poaching in the parks, you also need to provide them with alternatives. And honey is one such alternative, and this man is enjoying the honeycomb from a nest he was just harvesting, and I think the enjoyment in his face cannot be mistaken. I think the threats to the protected areas are very important to document, to show, yes, they are beautiful and they have amazing wildlife, but also there are threats and we need to take action to stop these. And trying to get strong images of that, I think, is a very important part of my job as a conservation photographer. This is from Nyerere National Park, where we found a bunch of snares, and this wildebeest that was stuck. And you can kind of guess by the situation that it was quite a gruesome death for this. He's kind of in the struggle to break loose. He had entangled himself even more in the tree and died in a very uncomfortable position, I would say. Here is from one of our newer project areas in Mozambique. It's called Maromeo, and I was flying with the project leader, and we happened by chance to see 3 young men and 2 dogs who were hunting buffalo on foot, only equipped with spears and knives. And yes, it was poaching in the park, but it's probably also not the worst type of poaching. Hunting them on foot, only equipped with a spear, I'd say is at least a fair game, but it is still poaching. One of the biggest problems in conservation, I would say, is habitat loss and deforestation. And here's an image from Peru, where a chunk of the Amazon has been completely cut down to make space for plantations. Could be crops for food, but this could also be for a coca plantation to make drugs. Fires could also be actually good for an ecosystem. Many ecosystems need fires every once in a while to have a bit of disturbance, to renew, and some species even depend on fires for the resistance. But if it's too much, it's also a big problem and can ruin areas. And like in Amazon, large parts of the Amazon are burning down now, which is absolute disaster. And not least because of the carbon dioxide emissions speeding up the global warming. And also, when the forest is gone, it can't also absorb carbon dioxide. So it's a big problem in many places. Another type of threat to wildlife in national parks could be domestic animals or feral animals. In this case, this is the Ethiopian wolf, an endangered species endemic to Ethiopia, to the highlands of Ethiopia. And there's less than 200 adult individuals left in the world. So it's really not many left of them. And this image was, for me, a very lucky image because I only come in a few weeks to project area, and to see something like this is extremely rare. None of the people actually working there full time had seen this, so it was lucky for me to see this interaction. And what's happening here, there's two of the wolves, the smaller and redder ones, who are being chased away by a domestic or feral dog who is stealing their food. So domestic or feral dogs are competing for food, but also are a source of disease like rabies or canine distemper, who is a big threat to these already vulnerable animals. And there's another level of story in this photo, actually, because the food in this specific case is actually a domestic goat. So it's also showing a bit of a human-wildlife conflict, because the wolves are most likely the ones who killed this goat and then had it stolen by the dog. This image shows it shows two things. It shows partly a threat to ecosystem, but it also shows why it is important to protect areas. So on the left side, this photo is not far at all from Grumeti. It's actually taken at the border of the Ikorongo Game Reserve. And as you might see, Ikorongo is on the right side, and on the left side of the road is agricultural lands and grazelands. And I was also, by chance, I was flying here with the project leader in Serengeti, and it started raining like crazy, but it also stopped very quick. And it was extremely clear to see that on the non-protected side, because of agriculture, because of overgrazing, the water ran away quickly, and you could see all the nutritious minerals and stuff flow away with the water and disappear quickly, while on the protected side, you could see how the ground just absorbed the water. And this is an amazing ecological service that protected areas protect. They absorb the water, and also the water then gets filtered in the soil and cleaned by the soil. And in times of drought, the protected side will still have a lot of water in the groundwater, and kind of seep out water in a steady pace all of the year, even in the dry season. While on the left side in this photo, the water that came down in the rain, it gets flushed away quickly, and in the dry season it becomes very dry, and it's a problem to find water. And with this picture, I would like to tell you a story, or actually it's coming after this, but about the importance and the impacts an image can have. And this photo was actually published by the BBC in their magazine called BBC Times, and they actually quoted David Attenborough on this image, saying the visual is always more powerful than the words. And it's a bit similar to, I think you heard the phrase that the picture is worth more than 1,000 words. And I have a very good example of this from my work. So this is an image from Peru in the Amazon, or this is supposed to be Amazon rainforest at least. But what's happened here is illegal gold miners have cleared the forest and ruined the ground and the soil in hunt for gold. So it's basically a huge gold mine, this, and it's so big you can actually see it from, as a scar in the Amazon, you can see it from space. And another big problem with this is that to extract the gold from the soil, they use mercury, which is a liquid metal that is also extremely toxic. And this goes into the water, and you see there's actually, just below this image, there's two rivers meeting each other. The one from the left doesn't have gold mining around it, while the one on the right, the one with the red color here, is coming from gold mining areas. So you see there's a lot of pollution in the water from the gold mining river, and this also brings the poisonous mercury down the river, and it's poisoning the fishes and all the other animals that's living in the water, but also that comes to drink the water. And I don't know if you can see, but further down there's a town, and people who depend on the water for drinking, but also for fishing and eating this, they do get poisoned by the mercury. So this is a completely illegal activity, and it's really bad for basically everyone around. But it's just the search for money that's driving this, and there's of course a lot of corruption all the way up to high politicians, I would say, who don't do anything because it's not a secret. Everyone knows this is happening. And back to my example, I was once working in Guyana in northern South America, also part of the Amazon. And I was invited, since I was there, I was invited by the PAC, the Protected Areas Commission. It's a bit similar to TANAPA in Tanzania. And they were going to go to their flagship national park, Kaiser Falls National Park, a beautiful national park with pristine rainforest. And they were going in there to map out and see if they could find signs of such illegal gold mining that would be destroying this place too. And they invited me to come along as a photographer to document this photographically. And I can't tell you how amazing this place is. And the centerpiece of the national park is this huge waterfall. This waterfall is one of the biggest and most powerful waterfalls in the world. It's 226 meters high, and on average, about 663,000 liters fall over the edge there every second. There's a close-up to give you a sense of scale here. I don't know if you see down on the right, there's a line going up to a person in a red jacket. To finish the story, we did find starting gold mines in quite a few places. I took photos of them and I gave them to the Protected Areas Commission, and then I continued my normal work with Exodus. And about half a year later, I got a message from our project leader there saying, "Hey, about your photos that you took there, we for the last 6 years, we've been sending reports to the government about this illegal gold mining happening in this national park, and nothing ever happened. This time, we basically sent the very same report again, no big difference, except for the photos I had taken. So now there was visuals in the report. The politicians could see the destruction made to their main national park in the country. And this report went straight up to the president. He said, this cannot go on. And they sent people there to stop it. And for me, as someone who cares for nature, as a conservationist, as a photographer, I thought this was maybe the pinnacle so far of my career as a conservation photographer. Like George mentioned, I got National Geographic cover, and I got published in Geo magazine and BBC books. But for me, to actually have taken photos that made such a huge impact on conservation is more important. And I would say it's so far my best achievement as a photographer. Moving on, people usually want to hear cool or exciting stories from the field. If you remember the orangutan I showed you earlier, he had big teeth. And while I was taking photos of one of these orangutan, bear in mind, these are orangutans that has had very difficult childhoods and might have traumas and might have psychological problems. And so one of them actually decided for no good reason that I could see to attack me and bite me. And this wound on my leg there is actually bitten straight through that rubber boot you see under my foot. So it's an incredibly powerful bite, and it was quite painful. And luckily, it was biting over the boot. Otherwise, the wound would probably have been a lot better. It was a young male. If it was an adult, it would have been a lot worse, of course. And this is back in also in Sumatra, and maybe the closest to death story I have from my work. And I was out with a research team who studies these elephants. You remember the one with the antenna tracking the elephants? One of these people. I was out with the whole team, and we tracked the elephants, and we found them. And since it's in a rainforest setting, you can't see them in the distance. You have to get very close. You can't be in a car because it's in the forest. You're all on foot. And what we didn't realize was that there was a river on the other side of this elephant. So we had there was two elephants. So we had cornered them, and they couldn't move away from us. And we were maybe 10, 15 meters away and felt cornered and decided to attack us. And it was not a mock attack or a fake attack. It was really an attack to get us. And actually, it was very close for most of us in the team, but maybe closest for me. As I ran away, and they had told me beforehand, whatever you do, do not run unless we run. And they all ran, and I ran, and I stumbled, and I fell over, and I even saw the elephant coming more or less straight at me. And I thought, this is it. I'm gonna die now. But I was kind of just lying still, and it passed me maybe less than a meter and just ran past me. And the other ones in the team who saw this, they said the only reason you survived is because when you fell, you lied still. And the elephants have bad vision, so he couldn't see exactly where you were, so he passed you. And yeah, this was a very close call. And it was all triggered by the clicking of the camera. And to add to this story, why they were so nervous was also because the team had never experienced anything like this before. But a couple of weeks before this happened, one in this group of elephants had been poached. And that's probably why they were extra wary and scared of people. And we just had bad timing, which led up to this. Another story about part of the dangers of this job that sometimes I have to face is this is back at the gold mining area in Peru. And because of all the corruption and it's absolutely illegal, but also a lot of money, they continue doing it. But they don't want us to document this. They don't want us to try and stop it, even though the fish become inedible in the river, and this is going into the main Amazon River, so it's really a big problem. But they have a lot of money, these people who's mining the gold, and they are well equipped, so they have surveillance, they have drones to watch over the area. And this image I did take with a drone myself, but to get there I had to mask myself, and we drove across this area with motorbikes because closer to the main road they even have drone detectors and drone guns that if they see a drone taking photos of them, they actually shoot it down. So we had to go to a part of this where they don't have these drone guns. And again, this was a time I was very, very nervous. And also about a week before I was there, I was told a story about a policeman who was in the area and was threatened at gunpoint to his life, and they let him go in the end. But hearing these stories before I went in there didn't help. I'm sure you all heard about AI and AI image generation, and that you cannot really trust images you see on the internet or even in magazines these days any longer. And this photo is a real image, but it was actually accused by someone to be an AI photo. This was published last year in the Geo magazine. It's like a German magazine similar to National Geographic. It's quite big in Germany and some other countries too. And this was published, and one of the readers said he would quit his subscription to the magazine because of this AI generated image. And first of all, this image is taken in 2013, before AI was really big or could generate anything like this. And second of all, I certainly didn't know how to do that. But he managed to contact me personally, and he pointed out exactly why he thought it was an AI photo. And basically, if you look at the standing line there, which is Pippi Longstocking, George, you probably know who she is.
Mhm.
Yeah, in the Transect Pride. And if you look at the hind leg, the right hind leg, it kind of looks like it's two legs, but it's just the sunlight and the shadow playing a trick. And he saw this and he said, oh, the lion has too many legs and it's a weird position, etc. But with showing him the original photos, the raw files, and the photos taken right after this photo, I managed to convince him that this is a real image and not a AI generated photo. But I would generally say AI is a problem for me and for many others now, because there's amazing photography coming out competing with real photography, and many people don't know what is real and what is AI generated. And like for me, I was accused of using AI, which is a big problem for my integrity as a photographer. Do I feel that my work is threatened by AI? Not really, because FZS is also very strict on their policy of not using AI photos. So they want real photos. So it's not like I'm going to get replaced by AI photos in the future. So they will keep in the future. They will also need real photos from our areas. If you still have some time, I can just show you some photos
We do.
in general. Sorry?
We do.
You do. Good. Just some photos and talk about them and yeah, why I like them or what was the story behind them. And this, as a photographer, you want to be able to tell a whole story in one image. And I think for anyone who knows a bit about lions, they probably understand the full story just seeing this. So you have a female, she's caught a prey, but you have the male coming from behind, and you know what he's gonna do. He's gonna try to steal this warthog. So there was a big chase. He was running after her, and she was trying to get away. She was actually lactating, so she had cubs, and she really needed the energy, and maybe needed to feed her cubs too. And working at the Lion Project at the time, I knew lions very well, so I was outside of the car at the time, and they were coming right at me. But I was actually not worried at all, because I know that the female was fully preoccupied by the male coming after her, so she would not attack me. And she came running basically straight at me and only started turning maybe 20 meters ahead of me when I got this photo. So it was for me, a strong photo and a nice experience. In the end, the male, as you might guess, did manage to chase her down and steal her prey. This photo, the Great Migration, taken from a balloon in Seronera area of Serengeti. I'm very happy to have gotten this shot from the air, because it's actually, even though it happens quite often, it's actually quite difficult to get a nice photo of a huge amounts of wildebeest, and when they're really this dense and concentrated. And so I'm very grateful for the Balloon Project who took me up and to have gotten this photo. Not the Balloon Project, but the Serengeti Balloon Safaris company. Here's another image that's telling a story. This is from the orangutan project I told you about, how we train young orangutans to survive in the wild, and then when they're ready, we let them out. And we hiked quite far into the forest one day and saw this huge adult male that must have been released several years ago and still surviving and still doing well. And in this image, I also think it's quite symbolic how he's kind of viewing his whole kingdom. It's one of the photos actually that was highly commended by the Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition, and I'm quite happy with it. I'd say it's quite a unique photo. I found this dead zebra on the plains, and I put my camera out with a remote controller, and then I backed off a bit, and then these vultures came. Vultures came, but also these marabou storks, and they were eating the food right in front of the camera with a wide angle. In the end, I got very nervous because a hyena came, and instead of going for the food, it went straight for my camera and started sniffing it. And I thought this might be the end of the camera, but right when it put the nose on the camera, I also pressed the shutter, so it took like a round of photos, which was enough to scare it off, and my camera survived. This photo is one of the most difficult photos I ever took. The difficulty was trying to align the mood with the moving zebras and being in the dark. And this is an area with a lot of aardvark holes. So moving my car here, any second I could get stuck in an aardvark hole. And the moon was setting faster than you expect. And the zebras were moving. So I had to all the time kind of drive the car to position the moon and the zebras where I wanted them, and not avoiding getting into holes, and then running out and trying to steady the camera on the hood of the car and take photos, and it would fail several times before I got it right. And it's also quite dark, so the shutter speeds were very slow. And I could adjust the height of the moon over the horizon by driving a bit up or down this grass slope that the zebras were walking on. And in the end, maybe this photo would have been better if the head of the zebra on the left would also have been up, but it's good enough, I'd say. Another opportunistic photo. This is steppe eagles, which do come to the Serengeti ecosystem in the winter part of the northern hemisphere, but this is actually taken where they are breeding. So this is central Kazakhstan on the huge steppe there, and we were just driving along a car, and there was an eagle sitting on a pole, and I could see how another eagle came in for a landing, trying to compete for the only sitting pole in the area. And the sun was setting, so I managed to scream to the one driving at stop, 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 just when the sun was in the right position and just when the eagle landed. So basically, this is at the moment when the car is stopping, and I managed to get this shot. A very lucky situation, and it all happened very quick, but turned out quite nice. This is a photo from Guyana. It is the largest spider in the world. With the legs spread out, it's about 30 centimeters. It weighs about as much as 10 smaller birds, and it's called the Goliath bird eater. It has a reputation of eating birds, but it's actually not one of the main preys. It's a huge spider. It's venomous, but not that venomous to a person. It will hurt, but it will not kill you. If you do this, it's quite friendly too, so it's not very likely to bite you. But if you do disturb it too much, it can actually release some of these hairs on its body, and these move in the air and could go into your eyes and be quite irritating to your eyes. And to take this photo, I had my flash on a cable, so that I hold the flash above the spider, slightly behind, to make it illuminated from behind. Back to the orangutans in Sumatra. I don't know if you're familiar with strangler figs, but it's a species, or there's many species of strangler fig, but it's a fig tree that basically kills already existing trees by growing around them and strangling them and growing their own foliage above the other trees. And in the end, after many decades or hundreds of years, the original tree dies. And in this case, it's gone so far as to the original tree has completely decomposed and disappeared, and you just have the tube of the fig tree standing left. And this jungle school student, this orangutan, was playing inside this tree, and I thought I got quite a unique photo of these animals. Another beautiful primate here. This is from Vietnam. We work in Vietnam. There's a lot of endangered primates there, and this is a red-shanked duke, and we have another duke they call the gray-shanked duke that's in our project area, and it looks very similar to this one actually. And it was discovered by our project leader not too long ago. And we have yet another monkey species that discovered. And I mentioned before that I had photos of a species in Congo that's still not described to science. So it's quite exciting as a biologist and a wildlife photographer to work with FCS and going to all these amazing places and actually feeling that you are doing a big difference with your photos working for FCS. And I want to thank you for listening. And if you want to see more of my work, you could either visit FCS's website, where a lot of my photos are published. There you can also find a lot of information about the organization. This is my own website. I'm not very active on it, but you can find some stories there too. I'm more active on my Instagram accounts if anyone wants to check it out. Otherwise, I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much, Daniel. This is really amazing. I think I could keep watching and watching. It's like
Yeah, I know 1 hour is very quick.
Yeah, but thank you so much. I even don't know where to start. But just your last picture, the one that you took from Vietnam, I was just looking at their eyes. Looks like something happened to their evolution as well. Just
Yeah, it is. It's cool.
But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you so much. I think we will just like take a few questions for our audience, and then I know like he has covered quite a lot. I know some people may be curious about his personal journey as a photographer and researcher. Daniel has a question. Daniel Samuel.
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much. This is really cool. So I have one question, and it is, how do you find a good conservation story when you're in the field? Thank you.
Sometimes I know about it beforehand because, of course, Frankfurt Zoological Society often work very long term in project areas, and they've been there for decades. So some of the stories I know beforehand. And they tell me about it and say, "Hey, this is a story that we want you to cover." And other times it's just by chance. I'm out there and I see, or someone there on the site tells me something by chance, and I say, "Oh, this could be a great conservation story." And actually, an example of that is I was recently in the area outside Mahale, in the corridors between Mahale and Katavi, and we were visiting communities there. We had various projects, and I was talking with the Sukuma family, and you might know the story with the Sukuma. They come to an area and they cut the trees and forest down to do agriculture, and in doing that they also change the local climate, and it's kind of slash and burn. So after not too long time, they might even have depleted the nutrition in the area, and then they move on and cut down forest in a new place and so on. And I was talking to a Sukuma family that had done just this. They had been somewhere south of Lake Victoria, and now moved down closer to the area between Katavi and Mahale. And they said they had seen the effect of their way of living, and now they wanted to do it differently. They saw the importance of saving the trees for the future, and they were saving more trees of the lands, which is very unusual for Sukuma people. And they had beehives in the natural forest, so they could actually make a living of the natural wild forest and without cutting it down. And I thought this was a great story that just happened to show up in front of me.
All right. There is a compliment from Simon Victor who says, "Wow, thanks for perfect presentation, Mr. Rosengren."
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. I can tell Kaiser. Kaiser, you can ask a question.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. George, and thank you, Daniel, for such a wonderful presentation. Given the experience you have had with conservation and photography, have you ever thought of making a documentary that would actually tell and share what you have experienced and probably make some changes? You know, you have a lot given what you have presented. So sharing it to the vast majority could be very important. Do you have any, have you ever thought of that? That is what I'm trying to ask. And the second, do you allow people to use your photos for the sake of conservation?
Thank you very much for those questions. And for the first question, I agree it would be nice to make a documentary about my work. I'm not myself really a filmmaker, so I don't have much experience in doing that. So I would have to need help from someone who knows how to do that. That said, that documentary would be about me and my work, and which would not be a bad idea at all, maybe. But FCRS actually does do a lot of documentaries about. They're not about me, but it's about their conservation work in these areas. So they do hire film teams who do make documentaries about it. And also, it's not. Sometimes it's not us hiring, but it's actually documentary makers asking us if they can come to our areas and make a documentary about the work we do. And for the second question, yes, in general, I do let others use my photos for the sake of conservation, absolutely. So in general, my photos are open for everyone within Frankfurt Zoological Society and also for media, but also for our partners. And in general, you could always ask to use a photo if it's in the concept of conservation, absolutely, because I don't think that different conservation organizations are competitors. It's more we're all working for the same goal, to protect as much nature as possible. So if my photos can help another organization, absolutely, that we will be open for that.
But you have to give credit for sure.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right. The second question comes from Gladys. Gladys, if you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lohai. And also thank you, Dr. Daniel, for your presentation. This you have been really showing us the power of the image that representing what is happening around the globe and also in the field areas. I wish to know if at any time during your experience you had a picture or some activities that could represent an area in the communities that it has been degraded or distracted by certain kind of activities, such as the one that you have just told us about, the Sukuma, but the of them before. And then through, I understand FZS, they normally do a lot of work in the communities if you had an access to have the
Yes.
pictures of activities before and through your conservation activities now, that area, it has been preserved, and now they are involved in preserving their own land, except from those ones that are in protected area. Like the example that you have given us, the differences between Serengeti National Park in the Grumeti area and the other community area too. I don't know if you got.
I missed the last part of your question, the very final part.
It's all, yeah, it's only about the involvement of the communities themselves in their area, apart from the protected areas.
Yes, so yes, it's if I understand your question correct, so it's about working with communities who live near the protected areas or even in them, and the work with we work with them, trying to help them live in a sustainable way that's not degrading the protected areas, and sometimes we even employ them. Even we've employed poachers who used to work as poachers that's now helping to protect the areas. And in terms, I think you asked about having before and after pictures. I don't have, since we have about 30 project areas, and I only have time to go maybe to 2-3 of them per year. So it takes me a very long time to circle around all of these project areas. So I don't have very much time to get before and after pictures. But yes, let's say I've been in Peru 10 years ago, and then I come back and I see a big difference. I will document that. And I think, for example, on Sumatra, this island in Indonesia, it is very clear actually the speed of the disappearance of the rainforest. It is mainly the palm oil. They plant the palm trees, and from I think I was there with 6 or 7 years in between, and there was a huge difference between the two visits.
Awesome. For those who are attending in person at RISE, because you are around 17, is there anyone with a question? Maybe they can unmute themselves and ask a question as well. Otherwise, I only see messages from the chat here. People are just very happy with the work that we have done. They're inspired. And Ingla requested if there is a recording, and yes, we will share the recording after this presentation, maybe after a few days, because we have to upload it in YouTube. Other than that, yeah.
I just want to say hello to Ingla here too, and say mention that she is also part of why I am here now, because she is the one who invited me to come and work for the Serengeti Lion Project, and this work certainly led to me getting in touch with FZS, where I'm now working. So thank you, Ingela.
All right. If there is no any other question, I know Daniel, you have another question. All right, please, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I have another question. The last one. So, which kind of gear are you using?
Which camera I'm using?
Which kind of gears, like your lenses and cameras?
Yes. So I have a Nikon camera system.
Okay.
And
Sasa yule ndo jamaa amenipigia.
Yo.
Imebidi nimchane nimwambie kwanza wewe.
So sorry. I have a Nikon camera system that it's quite new now. I have a mirrorless camera which does not make a noise. I don't know if you remember the elephant story, that the elephant started attacking me because of the clicking of the camera. So my new camera does not make clicking. It's entirely quiet. And yes, it's Nikon. It's a mirrorless system. So I have a range of lenses from very wide angle, from 14 millimeters to 400 or 560 millimeters. And I have a macro lens and normal lenses. I also have a drone that I use very much when I can. In Tanzania, it's very difficult to get permission, so unfortunately in Tanzania I can't use a drone. But in many other countries, I find the drone a very important tool, especially when you're like in rainforests, to get up above the rainforest and get the whole width of the rainforest, and you get a complete different perspective with the drone. But that's pretty much the main equipment that I use.
Yeah. All right. I see Dennis Chita. You'll be the last person to ask the question.
Hi, Daniel. How are you? Thank
Hey.
you for the wonderful presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
I've got a quick question. Have you ever thought of using your pictures to show the impacts of tourism in Serengeti? Because I've been here for so many years now, and I'm sure you have some pictures of like 10 to 15 years ago. And maybe I was thinking about having, I know Patricia is working on a project which shows the impact of tourism in the Serengeti, but I think integrating it with the pictures will be fascinating, and it will be important. What do you think about that? And another minor question is, I miss your posts on Instagram. You used to post once every week, but nowadays you skip some weeks. Maybe you are kind of busy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and to everyone who doesn't know, but we were neighbors for a few years in Serengeti. I lived in the lion house and Dennis in the cheetah house, and I miss you, Dennis. To your questions, I am taking photos of tourism when I see it. Partly the mass tourism that you see, like partly lots of cars and lots of people observing one lion or one cheetah. But also I flew with Rian over Serengeti a few years ago, and I left Serengeti in 2015, and maybe I flew maybe in 2020 or something like that, and I was quite amazed about all the new camps and lodges that I could see everywhere in Serengeti. And I did take photos of this, so I do have that. It's not up to me what is getting used by FZS, so the photos are there. I put them all in the photo database, and FZS is using the photos as they want to. But if you or I forgot the name, but the person you mentioned would need such photos, I could certainly let you use them.
All right. So there is one question from Joe from Udzungwa. Said, nice presentation. What are your future plans? That's one. And do you have plans to travel more and capture additional photos? And also he suggested that Udzungwa Mountain has beautiful scenic features where you might also capture unique shots for your work. That's more of suggestions.
Yeah. Yes, I'm definitely planning to travel more. I will go to Kazakhstan now in September, and then probably to Vietnam in November. And it's quite exciting times now at FZS, since we are aiming to doubling our impact, which also means that we will go into many new areas. So there's some new project areas in Africa and in other areas of the world that's in the pipeline that I'm quite excited to get a chance to come and visit. What was the second part there again, George?
No, it's about Udzungwa.
Yes, absolutely. I've never been to Udzungwa, and I also like birds very much, and I know there's a lot of endemic species in Udzungwa, so I would love to come and see it one day, but it's not an FZS project area, so I would have to come and do it on my vacation or my spare time.
All right. So thank you very much again, Daniel, for such a nice presentation and inspiring many people. I see a lot of people.
Gladys, does she have a
Gladys had
question?
asked a question earlier, so
Okay. So
I
okay,
think she just didn't. Yeah. All right. So let's again give hands of applause to Daniel Rosengren, and also follow him on Instagram. I know, like, you have seen a flyer. You can definitely go to his Instagram page and you can also get his email from me if you're interested to be in touch. So thank you very much again for all the participants who are in person and those who are online. And we are really very happy that Daniel was ready to share his work with us. And you have taken us to places where we have never been. So thank you so much again for your readiness.
And thank you very much for inviting. I quite enjoyed this too. It's kind of nice to show the work that you're doing.
Sure.
And tell about it.
No problem. So just be ready to receive more emails and texts from people who have attended
Yes.
this talk today. I know some of the photographers like Daniel Samuel, who takes photos for Grumeti Fund. He's very keen, so we'll reach out for sure.
Perfect. Do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day. And yes, I will share. Maybe Dan, if you can just like share your Instagram on the text here in the chat.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have seen people have requested here. Yeah.
And to answer Dennis about the Instagram too, yes, I have been a bit busy, but also a bit lazy when it comes to Instagram lately. I will try to improve myself.
Thanks, Daniel. That's lovely.
Maybe you can hire him.
Yeah, that will be cool.
So
Just a
that's
quick
my
question, Daniel. When are you planning to come to Tanzania next?
I don't know. I will. There's a small chance next year, but I really don't know. So but we should definitely meet up if I do.
Exactly.
Are you still
Looking forward to-
you still on Cheetah Project?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm now back full and as a full-time employee. So you'll find me here. No more Glasgow trips.
And full time in Serengeti.
Yeah, 3/4 of my time in Serengeti.
Nice.
Yeah, but I was with Ingela last week. We had nyama choma and beer.
Without me.
Without. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks.
I was not saying anything anyway. Thank you very much.
Thank
Again,
you.
we really appreciate Daniel.
So Yogi must be the last one to leave the room.
Yeah, I won't leave the room, but I think I will stop the video, whatever they call it. I was not recording. Stop recording.